Welcome to the Clarity 16.1 Supportability and Feature Training session. My name's Catherine Ellis and I'm a Product Manager with Clarity. New in Clarity 16.1, using the percent availability as a unit of measure. What's new? A personal user-specific general setting is now available to use percent availability as a work effort unit of measurement. This is based on the associated resources calendar for any of the work effort fields, such as staffing allocations, assignment estimates, and actuals. Why is it important to have an option for percent availability? This has been requested by our customers through the Innovation Program. We know that our people have different capacity because of calendar shifts and exceptions for non-working days. The Resource Manager wants to get a true representation of the demand and actual work in terms of the percent over the resource's availability. Adding this option allows greater flexibility for the Resource Manager to manage their people. Each user can choose to use this new unit of measure as a personal setting to display and enter data throughout the application for the work effort fields. The percent availability will take the incoming number and apply it based on the resource's calendar. The setting impacts the stock work effort fields, which appear on workspaces and modules throughout the application for managing allocations and estimates and viewing actuals. In the following demonstration, I'll introduce you to Ray Fowler. Ray is a resource manager that tries to balance the team's capacity with the demands of the business. We'll look at how Ray can fulfill role requests by viewing his resources through the lens of percent availability unit of measure. Ray just returned from a meeting with the PMO team and heard of an announcement that Clarity 16.1 has a new enhancement for setting the work effort unit of measure to use percent availability. Ray is ready to fill some staffing requests, so he logs into the system. His homepage brings him to the staffing allocation timeline. Immediately, he sees that he has a notification. It's from Lily, a project manager, and she's requesting an architect for her project. Clicking on the button in the notification will take Ray inside the project, but he would rather look at the details from the staffing workspace. Currently, Ray is viewing the data using the unit of measure for hours. Before Ray changes this setting, let's take a look at how he has configured his page for managing role requests. A saved view has been created based on how Ray's company processes role requests. When a project manager wants to staff a project, a role is staffed and assigned to tasks on the project. The requested manager field is filled out with a resource manager on the staffed role. The view is set up in two parts. On the top, you have the allocation timeline, and it looks like it's using the requested manager to filter for the current user. The view is also set up to use the allocations by resource grouping, so that you can see all of the roles that have been requested for the current user. On the bottom in the resource histogram section, you can see the filter is set up to find all the people that are associated with the current user as their manager. And because it's using the grouping of resource availability, you can see a flat list of all the people that belong to that manager. As noted previously, the numbers shown here are in hours, so let's pause and take a look at this page. If we expand the architect role, we can see that the Lily's short-term architect request is about 80 hours for in the month of November, so not exactly for the full month. And we can see that our people below are also shown in hours for the demand and availability. To change the unit of measure, Ray navigates into the General Settings page. Here you can see the new option for percent availability. Once he sets this option, all pages throughout the application will now display the work effort fields as a percentage of the resource's availability. Returning to the staff timeline, you can see the numbers have changed. The allocation and availability amounts are now based on the availability of a resource calendar. Let's go through the use case for Ray and find a resource to fill the role requested by Lily. Expanding this architect group, we can see the request is for November. At the bottom, let's switch our view to group by primary role so that we can see which resources Ray has that are an architect. Here we can see that he has quite a few people that are architects, and most of them look busy. But he does have a new employee, Adriana, and she looks to be available during the month of November. To replace the role, Ray drags the resource and drops it on top of the project. Here, he'll replace her for the full amount. Once this is done, and the role is successful, you'll see that the record disappears from the list at the top. And you'll see at the bottom that Adriana's row has been updated to show 45% out of 100 for the month of November. If we click into her screen to look at all of her allocations, you'll now see that she is 45% allocated for the month of November. And now she has a remaining amount of 55%. Let's take a look at some examples where Ray can see the impact of using the percent availability across his employees in the staffing workspace and other areas of the product based on individual resource calendars. We will also compare this to using the full-time equivalent or FTE unit of measure. As you can see, we're still using the percent availability unit of measure, and we can see that all of the resources are showing that they're 100% availability. But Ray knows that each person has some different calendar exceptions because some of these people are going to be on vacation. So let's take a look at the number of hours they have and explain how this works. When we switch it to the hours, then we can clearly see the differences in their availability rate for the different months. Taking a look at Joyce, we can see that in the month of February, she's only available for 80 hours, and she's been allocated for 80 hours. So this in effect is 100 over 100% of availability. If we look at Tom in the month of September, we see that he is available for 136 hours, and the other employees are available for 76 hours, which is about 1 week of vacation for 40 hours. And you can see that he's overbooked. He's actually got 272 hours, which equates to 200% of his total availability. Now, if we look at Adriana, she also has 1 week off, but in December, and you can see it's 136 hours where the others are having 176 hours, and she's not allocated to anything. So if we flip back to the percent availability and look at these specific numbers, you'll see how this comes out. So for Joyce, and we look at the month of February, you can see that she is 100 over 100. She has been allocated at 100% over her 100% availability. When we look at Tom, he's 200% over allocated of his 100% availability. And Adriana has no allocations and is still available for 100%. Now if we compare this using the full-time equivalent, you'll see that the numbers come out a little bit differently because the number of hours are compared to the company's site calendar or standard calendar. So when we look at Joyce, we can see we actually need to change the decimal setting so that we can see the numbers properly. So for Joyce, we can see that in February, her full-time equivalent availability rate is a 0.5, and her allocations are a 0.5. And this is going against the company's standard calendar. And if we look at Tom, The 136 hours as compared to 176 hours is really a 0.77 full-time equivalent, and all the other employees are having 176 hours, which is the same as the company standard calendar. And then the allocation is also being converted to that full-time equivalent. Adriana has a similar number because she is off for 40 hours and is only working 3 weeks in the month of December, whereas all the other employees have an availability rate of 4 weeks, or 1 FTE. This information can also be seen in other areas of the product. So let's go back to the percent availability. And let's take a look at the staff grid. And you can see the numbers are represented as 100, like 400% availability for the allocations. They've been allocated at 100% of the resources availability. If we click into an investment, you can see the information in the staffing, for example. You can see the numbers here are represented as a percentage of the person's resource availability. You can see it for allocations, estimates, and actuals. But this particular investment does not have any actuals posted yet. If we go to the assignments, we can also see this information, and we can see the information in the group by, and it's a simple sum of the grouping. So here we can see it is grouped by the estimates, and when you add them all up together, they give you 6.88% of the resources calendar for the estimates of the 4 tasks that they are assigned to. You also have the ability to turn off this aggregation. By default, it shows the sum, but you could turn it off if you wanted to and not show it. Let's turn it back on. And so those are the different areas in which you can see the work effort unit get impacted by the changes to the user's setting for percent availability, FTE, hours, or days. Thank you for watching this demonstration. With this new enhancement, Ray now has a new tool for filling role requests and managing his employees based on their individual work availability. This concludes the Staffing Updates section. Thank you for your attention.